What if I told you one of the most iconic shows in TV history was secretly coming back, and then got shut down at the last second? That's exactly what just happened to Sarah Michelle Gellar, and fans are not taking it lightly. For years, rumors about a Buffy the Vampire Slayer revival kept popping up online. Most people assumed it was just wishful thinking, something that would never actually happen, but behind the scenes, it was real. A pilot had already been made. The return was finally in motion. And for the first time in decades, it looked like Buffy was about to step back into the spotlight. Then suddenly, it was gone, cancelled, scrapped, completely shut down. And according to Gellar herself, it wasn't a slow decision, it was instant, unexpected. And even more shocking, she claims one person may have been responsible for killing the entire project. So what really happened behind the scenes? Why would a massive comeback like this get destroyed overnight? And what she revealed next has fans seriously questioning everything, because this isn't just about a cancelled show, it's about a comeback, a betrayal, and a story Hollywood didn't want you to see. And trust me, it only gets crazier from here. For a while, it honestly felt like Sarah Michelle Gellar had quietly disappeared from Hollywood. No major movie premieres, no big red carpet moments, no constant headlines like the other stars from her era. To a lot of fans, it looked like she had simply stepped away for good, like one of those rare celebrities who just chose to walk away at the peak. And in a way, that's exactly what happened, but not for the reasons people thought, because behind the scenes, her life had completely shifted. After years of non-stop success, from cult classics to becoming a global icon through Buffy the Vampire Slayer, her identity had been tied to one thing: work. Constant filming, constant pressure, always chasing the next role, until suddenly, everything changed. She became a mother of two. Her priorities flipped almost overnight. And for the first time in her career, she made a decision that most Hollywood stars avoid at all costs. She chose to step back, not because she failed, not because roles dried up, but because she didn't need to prove anything anymore. In fact, she later admitted she had been so focused on her career for years that stepping away felt almost unfamiliar, even scary at first. But once she did, she realized something most celebrities never say out loud: she was happier outside the spotlight. And that's where things get interesting, because while fans were wondering where she went, she was building a completely different life behind closed doors. A life that didn't revolve around fame, headlines, or Hollywood expectations. For years, fans kept asking the same question: would Sarah Michelle Gellar ever return to Buffy the Vampire Slayer? And for just as long, the answer was always the same: no, she had moved on. The story felt finished. And every time the idea of a reboot came up, she shut it down almost immediately. It simply wasn't something she saw herself doing again. But behind the scenes, something had already started changing, because what most people didn't know is that a revival wasn't just an idea floating around Hollywood. It had been quietly developing for years, and the person who made it all possible, Chloe Zhao, according to Gellar, it only took one meeting, one conversation that completely flipped her perspective on something she had refused for decades. Zhao didn't just pitch a reboot, she brought passion, vision, and a deep respect for the original story that Gellar couldn't ignore. And that's what made this different. This wasn't about cashing in on nostalgia. It wasn't some rushed remake. It felt personal, thoughtful, almost like stepping back into a world that still had something left to say. Gellar even described it as feeling like she was going back in time, reconnecting with a character that defined an entire generation. And slowly, after years of saying no, she finally said yes, which is exactly why what happened next feels so unbelievable, because just when everything was lining up, when the revival was finally becoming real, everything was finally falling into place. After years of silence, hesitation, and behind-the-scenes development, the Buffy the Vampire Slayer revival wasn't just an idea anymore. It was real. A pilot episode had already been filmed. The cast and creative team were locked in. Momentum was building. And for the first time in over 2 decades, it genuinely felt like Buffy was about to return. Fans had no idea, but behind the scenes, this was shaping up to be one of the biggest comeback moments in TV history. And then, just like that, it was over. No long delays, no public warning, no gradual shutdown. The entire project was suddenly scrapped. Even Sarah Michelle Gellar herself didn't see it coming. She later revealed she was completely blindsided by the decision. One moment, everything was moving forward, and the next, the revival was dead in the water. And here's where it gets even more shocking. According to her, this wasn't some complicated network issue or budget problem. She hinted that a single decision, by a single person, may have been enough to kill the entire project. Just like that, years of development, a filmed pilot, A long-awaited return gone overnight, and if that wasn't enough, what she revealed about that decision next only made the situation even more intense. At first, fans assumed the cancellation had to be something typical: budget issues, creative differences, maybe scheduling conflicts, but what Sarah Michelle Gellar revealed next completely changed the narrative, because according to her, this wasn't some complicated situation involving multiple factors. It may have come down to just one person. She hinted that a key executive involved in the project wasn't even a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. In fact, she claimed this person openly admitted they had never fully watched the original series, and didn't really connect with it at all. Let that sink in for a second. A revival built on nostalgia. A character loved by millions. A story that defined an entire generation, and someone in a position of power reportedly didn't even believe in it. Now, to be clear, Gellar didn't name anyone to understand why Sarah Michelle Gellar stepped away from Hollywood. You have to go back more than a decade. It wasn't about roles drying up, controversies, or losing her touch. It was much more personal. Back in 2014, Gellar's life hit a turning point. She had just welcomed her second child, and the world around her shifted in ways she couldn't ignore. On top of that, the sudden passing of Robin Williams left a lasting impression. It was a reminder of how fragile life can be, and it made her pause to reflect on her own priorities. For years, her career had been her driving force. Acting wasn't just a job, it defined her identity. She was constantly on the move, filming movies, attending events, and staying in the public eye. But suddenly, she realized there was more she wanted to experience outside of the spotlight. She chose to focus on her family, raising her daughter Charlotte, 16, and son Rocky, 13, alongside her husband Freddie Prinze Jr. It wasn't an easy decision, stepping away from fame when the world still loved her. But it was necessary, and while motherhood was part of it, there was another layer: herself. For the first time, she learned the value of me time. She openly credits her husband for helping her see that taking care of herself was just as important as taking care of everyone else. Therapy also played a role in helping her find balance, and slowly, she discovered a version of happiness she had never felt before. By stepping away, Gellar wasn't giving up. She was reclaiming her life. She didn't leave because she had to, she left because she wanted to. And in doing so, she proved something even more powerful than fame or awards: that personal fulfillment can matter more than anything Hollywood can offer. And now, after years away, she's returning to the spotlight, but on her own terms, with a fresh perspective and a confidence that only comes from knowing you've already won at the most important game, life itself. After more than a decade away from Hollywood's glaring spotlight, Sarah Michelle Gellar is officially back, and she's doing it on her own terms. 2026 marks a splashy return, with Gellar stepping into two very different, yet equally exciting projects. First, there's the horror comedy sequel Ready or Not 2, Here I Come, where she dives headfirst into the type of slasher-inspired role that earned her the iconic Scream Queen status years ago. And she's not just embracing it, she's owning it, proving that being bad on screen can be just as empowering as being a hero. Then there's her surprising move into unscripted television, joining Netflix's revamped Star Search as a judge. For fans who grew up watching her dominate the screen, seeing her in this playful, behind-the-scenes role is refreshing. She even admitted she never imagined herself in this space, but seeing someone like Elizabeth Banks seamlessly balance huge films, directing, and hosting inspired her to take the leap. Gellar calls it an opportunity to have fun, experiment, and just enjoy the moment. The morning after the Ready or Not 2, Here I Come premiere, when Sarah Michelle Gellar shared that the Buffy revival was officially cancelled, social media exploded. Fans flooded platforms with disbelief, frustration, and a wave of nostalgia-fueled anger. Tweets ranged from "How could they ruin this for us?" to heartfelt posts about what Buffy meant to them growing up. Reddit threads filled with speculation about the mysterious executive behind the cancellation, with fans dissecting every possible reason the beloved project never moved forward. For many, this wasn't just disappointment, it was personal.